sorry for disturbing you. I love your home here. It's spectacular. And I just wanted to ask, what do you do for a living?
I have medical clinics, pharmacies, some plazas.
I just wanted to come up and ask, what do you do for a living?
I run the household while my husband is in trucking and finance.
I'm a physician. Specifically, I'm a psychiatrist and a sleep specialist.
Cool, that's incredible.
Why is it that Indian immigrants in Canada are outperforming almost all other ethnic groups, not by a small margin, but significantly? So we looked at education, employment rates, and most importantly, we looked at income to show that people from India are crushing it in Canada. Well, if you look at a list of the richest people in Canada, 5 of them happen to be Indian immigrants. For example, Bill Malhotra is recognized as Canada's richest Indian with a net worth surpassing $1.9 billion. A self-made billionaire, Malhotra's journey began as a young engineer from BITS Pilani who migrated to Canada at the age of 22. He founded Claridge Homes in 1986, which has since constructed over 14,000 properties, including the Claridge Icon, Ottawa's tallest building. Then there's Prem Watsa, who is often called the Warren Buffett of Canada. He has a net worth of $1 billion. He's the founder and CEO of Fairfax Financial Holdings. It's a Toronto-based financial servicing holding company. Also, there's Apoorva Mehta, stands out with a net worth of $1 billion, primarily known as the founder of Instacart, a revolutionary grocery service that has significantly impacted how North Americans shop and order their groceries online. Steve Gupta and Ramesh Chatoi are 2 other entrepreneurs whose net worth is more than $300 million individually. Now, you might be thinking these 5 ultra-rich people are the outliers, meaning they shouldn't represent the average Indian immigrant who lives in Canada. Well, that is not the point here. Yes, the average Indian immigrant is not a multi-millionaire who owns a company that does billions of dollars in revenue each year, but the average Indian in Canada is doing far better than the others. For example, if we look at the average salaries in Canada per week amongst men of different racial groups, we'll see here South Asians are taking home the most money on a weekly basis compared to the others. Their numbers are almost similar to that of the white population. Chinese are very close as well. Next, let's look at South Asians who have one of the largest and the highest employment rates when compared to other racial groups, right along with Latin Americans and Filipinos. And I know the data says South Asians and not Indians specifically, but if you look at the distribution of South Asians according to the census data, almost 80% of South Asians are from India. As we know, income is one of the ways to measure who's more successful than the others. And as we just saw in that categories, Indians crush every other ethnic group according to the national Canadian data. Moving on, let's look at how Indians hold up against others when it comes to education. So this study done by Statista in 2016 shows where the most educated immigrants come from. India is once again on top, with 3.12 million people having received vocational education. Then there's China at 2.25 million, followed by Philippines with 1.89 million. Vocational training just means that they have received training specific to their occupation. That means they're trained workers. We also looked at university statistics. This next study shows the number of senior university leaders. So that is a combination of the students' performance in terms of academics as well as participation in university extracurriculars. Once again, South Asians lead the pack at the highest level. Chinese students outperform Indians at every level below. Next up, let's look at occupations. So what kind of jobs are Canadians working in? Before we do that, let's actually look at what jobs pay the most in Canada right now. So according to this data, the 2 highest paying industries in Canada seem to be healthcare and IT. So now that we know that, guess which group makes up the most people working in healthcare and IT? Well, here's the data for healthcare, and no surprise here, South Asians make up the largest percentage of physicians in Ontario. Rest of the groups are not even close in this category. Now, if you look at the IT industry, the data is almost identical. So according to the census data, there are twice as many South Asians working in IT than there are people who are considered to be working age. That is unbelievable. And once again, we can see the other groups are not even close in this category as well. So the two highest paying industries in Canada, which are healthcare and IT, are dominated by Indians, which means they're taking home the most money, which was already proven in the first graph that we saw where we looked at the weekly salaries of different ethnic groups. And one more interesting piece of data I came across was this one right here. So apparently Indians are also one of the highest percentage of people that are self-employed or run their own businesses. In Quebec, Punjabis are one of the leading ethnic groups who is most likely to be self-employed. As a matter of fact, 15.8% of all Punjabis are entrepreneurs in Quebec. That is 1 out of every 5 people. That's crazy. So given all this, what is it that Indians are doing that is different and is obviously working?
What is normal in your home country that isn't normal in Canada?
Today you can see me, I am wearing a Punjabi suit. Sometimes whenever I wear this here, they are like, why? Is there any specific occasions? But it's totally normal in my home country.
One of the big reasons why Indians are able to be successful is because of their willingness to save and minimize on unnecessary expenses. Living with family is a huge part of that. Students tend to live with their parents long past the average age of moving out in Canada. By continuing to live at home, parents build this habit in their children, which allows them to start their careers while living comfortably and not having to worry about paying rent or bills. So automatically, the young Indian who's just getting started, maybe going through med school or finishing up their undergrad, will have a natural advantage when compared to their classmates who are forced to pay rent and bills and work jobs while trying to get through school.
What do you do for a living?
Hi, I'm an architect as a project coordinator and a landscape designer.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much money do you make?
So I'll tell you a scale. It's like starting is around 60,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goes up to?
It can go up to about 100,000, 120, 130, depends on your position.
Oh, speaking of experience, how much experience do you have?
I just had a 1-year experience back in India, and
Did it count out here?
yeah, definitely. That's what helped me, because it gives you a little bit confidence or a little bit skills to put on your resume, because in our field it's more not just on your education, but the portfolio that you have built up.
Another big reason that gives Indian immigrants the upper edge when compared to other groups is due to their highly educated background. One of the criteria that you need to enter Canada as an immigrant is being educated. So naturally, the people who come here and have a solid educational background in their home countries are more likely to be allowed to enter Canada and eventually obtain their permanent residency. According to StatsCan, South Asians are once again entering Canada with the highest percentage of educated population. By coming as a skilled and educated worker, they have a significant advantage in the IT and healthcare departments where their expertise is in high demand right now. As you saw in the clip before, because of his educational background in India, he was able to earn more than double the average salary of the Canadian people. And the last one of the big 3 reasons why Indians are doing so well right now is this.
Would you rather have a job that you don't like and you can never leave, but you're getting paid $300 an hour for the rest of your life? Or would you rather start your own business?
I would rather start my own business.
What kind of business would you start?
Real estate.
You'll be in real estate? Any particular reason why, or is that just what you always wanted to do?
I always wanted to do that.
Are you going to school for that right now? You got a backpack on.
Sorry?
I see you got a backpack on. Are you going to school for that right now? Awesome, man.
This video might not be the best example, but it just goes to show how Indians feel about owning a business. The reason for that is because entrepreneurship is highly valued in many Indian communities, where there is a long tradition of self-employment and business ownership. Growing up in this environment, many Indian immigrants bring with them the ambition and mindset necessary to start and build businesses in Canada. Another big factor is that Indians tend to venture into businesses that do not require very large initial investments, such as food services, retail, and tech startups. Now, I don't know about you guys, but after I finished my research on this subject, there was one question that I couldn't find the answer to. One thing that just didn't make sense to me. That was, if Indians are really so great at everything they do, whether it's IT, or being a doctor, or owning a business, or pretty much anything they lay their hands on, why do they even leave their country to move to Canada in the first place? Well, to that you might say, obviously, so that they can escape the poverty in their own country and seek better opportunities in a first world country like Canada. And at first, I thought that was the case. But if you think about it, that shouldn't be the case. As we discussed before, most of the Indians that leave India to come to Canada are highly educated, which means they should already have high-paying jobs in their own country or be well off over there instead of having to leave their families, move thousands of miles, having to redo some of their certifications to get the jobs they're already qualified for. So why do they move to Canada? And I found a few different answers for this question on the internet, especially on Reddit. So let's go through some of these answers together. Someone posted, why would Indians from rich families move to Canada or any other countries in the West? And the top reply was, because there is too much competition in India. Being wealthy does cushion you from the competition, but there is always pressure to be as successful as your parents. No parent wants a slacker. And so in the Western countries, this competition is less and one can do as they want. Another answer said, because they still have to share the same pothole-ridden roads and the dismal air quality with the rest. Outside the four walls of their opulent bungalows, they still have to share the same mediocre infrastructure with the rest. And they don't want to. And this one made more sense to me. I mean, if you know you're qualified enough and make decent income, why not use it to its full potential by moving to a country like Canada and reap the rewards of your own hard work to its fullest degree? And this last answer kind of made me laugh, but it said many Instagram-esque locations exist in the West. They can spend their parents' money to show these great locations to all their friends and subscribers who are mostly from India and create more FOMO. This one might be more applicable to students, but I don't know how accurate this last one is. Let me know in the comments below if some people actually do this or not. But with that being said, let me know what ethnic group to cover in the next video. If you're new to the channel, please consider dropping a sub if you want to see more Canadian-based mini documentaries and video essays. Thank you for watching.